Hey besties, welcome to the No Podcast, proudly brought to you by Southern Africa Trust. My beautiful name is Panashe Chibata Moto, also known as the Dynamite with the capital letter D. And I'm super excited to be on your screens today. Remember, we are commemorating the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence on a line. The emphasis is on a line. And as usual, I don't write solo. I always have think tanks. Beautiful people to always help me unpack the subject. And today I'm joined by one of the most, a man that needs no introduction again. And also he's prominent on the social media streets, sometimes with controversial content. And I want to ask about that one too.
That's fine.
Welcome to the No
Thank
Podcast.
you so much, Dynamite.
Yeah, so I want you to introduce yourself to people. And I know you do a lot of things, but just give us the whole portfolio for you.
Oh, I can't remember finish it. But I'm a lawyer. That's what I do mainly. But besides that, one thing that I'm so passionate about is people development. And so we usually use quite a number of platforms. That's why maybe we've seen on social media.
Yeah.
I'm not every bad to go on social media, but at times it's a platform that also arises where you can get to share. But people development is something quite exciting. That is allowed me to interface with people and also be able to contribute one or two. You said on conversation. What did I say this conversation?
I don't want to go there now before we get into the gist of the matter.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So the reason why we are here is we want to talk about ways in which we can eradicate or probably help curb online gender-based violence. So when you hear digital gender-based violence, what comes to your mind?
All right, so starting point is actually gender-based violence. Digital still remains as a platform where gender-based violence gets extended.
Exactly.
So now people will agree physically, but now what the digital space does is also create a platform where people actually get to engender these practices and get to do it. So now it's been more dangerous because now digital platform like Facebook, you know, a lot of harassment that's happening on Facebook. If you see how violent people are on social media, you will be shocked. People are not necessarily willing to hide. So you find now all your social media platforms, the TikTok, the Instagram, and stuff. These are all digital platforms where the possibilities of sexual harassment is also happening. So pretty much all the sexual harassment that we've been experiencing in the physical sense now is also taking a digital form. Verbal harassment is also taking a digital form. Emotional harassment is also taking a digital form. Financial harassment is also taking a digital form. So pretty much digital gender-based violence is simply violence that is managed to find space in the digital space.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you're one person that has managed to maneuver, all those digital spaces like you on X, I've seen you on Facebook.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you on Instagram.
I actually post on Instagram once in a while and get had.
It's for bad dude, but
Yeah, of course I'm very careful when I post. I don't just post it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like someone who is like content that's on social media, how have they been taking the bashing, the negativity that comes with social media?
And what emotional maturity, very, very important. So when you're going to a place like social media, one of the things that you need to be very careful about is that not everybody going to agree with it. The moment you decide to post that piece of person, whatever the challenge is, remember I raised in different places. What is normal to you, someone sees it as abnormal, but nobody's really rise to us in that. That's what I think. I still think we're one responsibility should be responsible. So that even if we find something that we don't necessarily agree with, if you tend to comment anything respectively do it, without necessarily harassing people. And I can tell you the majority of the time when you post something online, you absolutely have no control as to how people are going to respond. So one of the things that you need to do is actually develop a thick skin. It does actually help you, especially if you're a public figure. That's one of the things. So if you find me, one of the things that I'm actually good with, I'll ignore you. That's one of my tools. I'll ignore you. Why? Because I don't want anything that takes away anything from me. And also the things that actually that inspire me in any way. And I get some funny comments. If I get time, I can even block you.
Okay.
Yeah. So also realize one thing. The digital space is very interesting. Because now you may not actually be dealing with real faces. That's the problem in the digital space. It's doing host accounts.
Yes.
You'll be shocked at the number of people who literally live to wear another persona so that they can just be violent. So majority of the ghost accounts that it finds usually stalking people, following people, and these other things. Some of them are actually influenced from the Latin because of the nature of digital space. But now, anonymity is one of the things that you find in social media. So you don't even know who to sue if you want to sue, who to report to the police if you want to. So yeah, once in a while you can also take advantage of the tools that are available. Even on WhatsApp, if you're too negative, I just block it. If I like your way, boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I love the part where you said you developed like thick skin.
Right.
But it didn't like come overnight. Something that she had to work on. So take us through that process on how you then managed to ignore those things.
So remember one thing, we're not raised by the same parents. Elsewhere where we grew up, we taught manners, but not every house teaches people manners. Some way we grew up with sisters, but not every house really takes time to train men how to treat women. Similarly, not every house also trains women how to also carry themselves. Because number one, the cultural dimensions also, and so forth. But we're not necessarily responsible for how people end up thinking. That's all I was saying. So one thing that I will be is the moment I share my perspective, I don't necessarily want everyone to say amen. We're not in a church, by the way. So people are entitled to their opinion. And I also take criticism every way, as long as it makes sense. But I'm not for the idea of people just criticize with the sake of criticizing. By the way, if you want to contribute towards the discourse, you don't necessarily have to be abusive. It's one of the things that people confuse criticism, engagement, and abuse. And majority of the people, what they call comments are literally bordering on abuse. So majority of the times, I think what my platform is a bit different. My platform is a bit different. What's the general nature of the content? The people actually feel sorry for socializing the influencers. Yeah, those ones. Yeah, especially when you know that your meal is to come from reposts.
Exactly.
You're in trouble.
Do you follow any influencers, by the way?
On Facebook.
Controversial influencers.
By the way, I'm very selective as to who I follow. I may not necessarily follow you publicly, but I'm a lawyer, by the way, so I get to work with client thing.
Yeah.
But I may not necessarily follow every account. Ross, I'm also very particular about my brand and what I want my brand to be associated with. So yeah, I'm very careful about who I follow. I don't just follow for the sake of following. I'm very strict, and I'm also very discriminate. I believe in discrimination.
Okay.
Yes.
So in what ways do you think technology has increased gender-based violence?
Yes, and amplified. That's what it has done. So technology has not created gender-based violence. It has always been there. What technology has simply done is where one person would reach one person physically, now they've access to thousands in millions. So you find technology, what it's doing, one of the biggest problems of technology is among the rise and prominence of anonymity. I think that's most accounts that are on. The number of post accounts that are harassing people, we just made people, such quite astounding. So you find majority of the times, 7 people, they have one particular account, 2 accounts, or 5 accounts. People are just attacking you. And these people are written some bogus names. That's if you go to that account, there's nothing whatsoever. They don't realize this person is just partying, waking up just to harass. So anonymity has become one of the biggest problems. But now, even if you want to utilize the existing provisions in terms of the law, what do you report? How do you report a post account to the police? Because the names that I've been using, they're fictitious. Some are even using people's faces on those accounts, and there's nothing that can usually do. The next problem that I find with social media now in technology is the issue to do with number one, virality. So once something is enforced, the propensity and capacity for it to go viral is quite significant in the digital space. So now you post one thing today, the next thing is in verse. Next thing is on TikTok, next thing on Facebook, next thing is on Instagram. So in terms of controlling that, it becomes very, very difficult. Because once something goes on WhatsApp, does it. There's no way you can report it. So now we're living in times where technology has also made it possible for something to go viral. And by the way, when something is going viral, it does not necessarily mean it's true. And remember, our society we're generally toxic by default.
Yeah.
So we love consistency. So that's why people are looking at the next nude step. They're looking for the next step. That's how toxic we are. But we don't forget that the moment we say in some pictures it leaked in courts, every time you have for one day you're destroying someone. Because remember, this person one day they might want their parents. This person one day they won't have children. And that brings the next problem of digital space, which is permanence. Some call digital permanence. where if something is being posted, is going to be aiming in the digital space for some time, which is also a reason why we also need to be responsible in terms of foreign post. Because majority of the times you think you are over here, but over pizza, and the next thing, every information about you is going out, and guess what? It's being stored somewhere. And one of the things you find out about internet is the ability to retrieve. And usually many people are waiting for the right time for you to remember and to remind you that at one point in time you student. So you find now things that involve viral, things are not permanent. And now the rise of anonymity is also becoming very, very potent. But also one of the things you find in the algorithms are very problematic. By the way, if you see how rigged the digital space is, you get very worried. Now, Facebook is a great way of reading your search patterns, what you like, a particular line of stuff. Yeah, that algorithm. So usually the algorithm can become very, very biased. And you find in a particular way certain content is being pushed, certain narratives are being pushed because of those algorithms. So you find the digital space now is amplified in so scary ways. And sadly, the algorithm majority of the time they reward irresponsible behavior. So why is there so much nudity online? Algorithm. They push it one after the other. So I think the digital space is literally amplified what people could not do in the past. Because now, remember, the world is not a global village. If something happens in America within seconds, we're not able to access it yet. Yeah, so that's sort of thing.
Yeah, and I love the thing that you mentioned that we're living in a global village. I was actually saying this other time when we're kids, we'd go into the streets and play. But right now we play on social media. That's where we play. And there should be policies and laws that should be put in place to make sure that people are protected online. So probably you want to harness more on the policies, on the laws that we have that are protecting people online.
All right, so starting point is to understand that the pace at which change is happening is necessarily the pace at which our checkposts are changing.
Exactly.
Now we've got artificial intelligence, first of all, which runs on algorithms, and obviously there's certain biases. But I can tell you for a fact we don't have a statute that regulates artificial intelligence right now.
Yes.
So I think the bulk of the wage now is for lawmakers that want to be capacitated. One of the biggest problems you find is our lawmakers, we don't necessarily require a certain level of qualification before somebody then can evaluate it. You just need to be popular. That's one of the words. But now, we're living in a very complex society where someone can be bullying you from the United Kingdom. Somebody can be harassing you from South Africa. Somebody can be harassing you from the elsewhere. I thought one regulation done. How do we protect people on WhatsApp? How do we protect people on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Which means, number one, the way we make our laws needs to also come to terms with the reality that we're in a very fast changing world in terms of technology, whereby our laws also need to be able to say, okay, how we need this legislate. So now we've put the Data Protection Act, which I think is also quite a positive development, with issues to raise cyberbullying, and I think that's one of the most popular areas now of interest. And I think majority of the complaints that many people have within that are being posted on Facebook, on social media, pretty much they fall under the brand of cyberbullying. By the way, nobody is being restricted from the right to express. But I don't think our law is not hope for expression that damages people. And I think one of the things that we need to understand, and I think this is Spider-Man, that quote which says great outcomes, great responsibility. So we've got so much internet in abundance, but we've got so many irresponsible people in such technology.
And the industry.
And now the tragedy is, how do we get protect the ordinary users? So I think one of the things that we need to do, as long as in that space and spend much of the time on that space, it becomes very important for you to interrogate and get to understand the applicable laws. And some of things on Mac that I mentioned is all of them. There are things like revenge porn we find, other law is now case spoken about it. It was one of the things you'd find a number of times, minors, you get some steady images being circulated online. The next thing, someone was in love and they thought they were in love and they were busy sending things that they were not supposed to be sending. And someone gets pissed off and they decide to throw it in the social media. That's why I believe there's nothing called a leaked sex tape. That's like, there are people which is why I really think we need to start taking advantage of the existing laws to ensure that what we can control. Then in respect for what we cannot effectively control, our role, which is what should do anyway, is let's lobby the relevant people to ensure that we come up with the right policies that also protect everybody online. But it's the biggest lesson that I want to do everybody. Also need to protect yourself. Protect yourself, know the space that you're dealing with, know the environment that you're dealing with, and understand your vulnerabilities. That's one of the things. The moment you understand your vulnerabilities, it helps you to be able to realize this is the likely result. How do you meet me in that? And what's the issue that I think it does that you help you?
Right, lovely. And I was having a conversation with someone recently, and they were saying that, we need to put like our social media influencers at the forefront of this advocacy. But I'm also thinking that most of them are the people that can even handle the backlash that happens on social media. They can handle the bashing. They're the people actually who are also who are also the perpetrators of online gender-based violence. Do you think social media influencers in Zimbabwe are ready to push this narrative?
The first thing is obviously what they've been best at least to our social media people, influencers, but this problem. Majority of social media influencers, they're also in trouble. So you can't help people effectively until you help yourself.
Yeah.
Because remember, these are people, influencers, they also got their struggles. So all the issues that we're talking about, the cyberbullying, the sexual harassment, majority of the time, if you go through social media, then various accounts, they go through a lot. But which is also why I think this conversation also can be number one, in terms of how we give it support, in terms of handling using the appropriate channels, appropriate instruments in terms of the law that you can actually use. But the role of influencers is to be able to say, okay, what strategies do we have to help fight against DGBV online? Then the next thing is, how do we get to ensure that people get to know of the strategies? Because the power of influencers right now should never be underestimated. Right now, for your own information, majority of the media houses that are actually struggling, they're struggling because of influencers. Was what company X paid back then to a traditional media player, they can now pay a certain level within this houses to an influencer who can actually give you real-time results. In fact, so I think the role of influencers really is to be number one, brand ambassadors, where the number cause, which to me, the number cause becomes how do we help find the gender-based violence in digital weapons that are treated, and how do we also best equip themselves to also be able to share the narrative, contribute in the narrative, and also create a story by the victim of such violence, also get assistance. Yeah, so I'll still think that, yeah, with partner organizations, let's set more sessions. For now, we can help these people who are in the public space, one for themselves, those who ensure that they share the necessary protection aspect.
Beautiful. Allow me to also upload you on the work that you're doing in the education sector. Yeah, we've seen your books and it's amazing work. How do you think maybe people can be educated in terms of pushing away this narrative of gender-based violence? And also, how do you think our education sector can incorporate probably online safety in our curriculum as well?
So I saw a message, it's a meme that I think was quite profound. This was world written. It says very long, but I'm glad these men, someone that tried to me down. I'm like, this dude.
Yeah.
But I'm now trying to say an abuser. But I'm now trying to say a troll. But I'm now trying something that I think that I think it goes back to that and said, how are we raising our children? How are we raising the boy child? What narrative are we giving to the boy child? What are we telling them about all you interact with children? And what are we telling them? That you don't deserve to be sexualized, don't make sexualized people. Because you find all these people, they come from a home. If the home setup is toxic, if the home setup does not have certain standards, if the home setup doesn't share and impact certain values, we cannot expect miracles elsewhere. So for the most that I've done, they're not necessarily on gender-based violence, which are elsewhere. But my thinking really is we need to work on developing people who are people. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. Majority of the people, they are not really human. So there's human being and there's something called being human. So majority of what we've aimed is therefore watching the being human act. Which is why before you post, think of that person as your sister. Think of that person as your brother. Think of that person as your mother. Think of that person as your brother. Majority of the times, one of the things that I find in our society is the comfort and ease with which we're being so vulgar and so violent in terms of our language and speech. Which is something that I think is quite problematic. So my role mainly is just in a way I want to be able to shift narratives and to be able to shift mindsets so that people are able to think and see differently.
Yeah, and I mean, on the streets of social media, vulgar has become like a new thing, the trending as well. Like when we have these conversations, we also need to talk about the victims and the survivors of gender-based violence to say how best can we empower them so that when they go back online, they feel safe.
One is awareness. It's very possible that abused and you don't know you're being abused. If you don't know your rights, you don't know that should be abused. So he judged with him. And number two, also need to understand the vulnerabilities. What makes you vulnerable? And this is one of the things that you need to understand. Not everybody likes you.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest mistake people make when they go on the line space, most whatever people doing, whatever they're doing, they think is maybe likes, shares, and fire emojis. But again, the fireworks don't end up use side of things. Because remember, many people are angry for no reason. Initially, they're looking for ways to vent. So majority of the time, looking to the comment section, people are venting. So the people on their issues. And so awareness for me is very important. And secondly, also, just what you brought down about vulnerabilities. You need to understand your vulnerabilities. That's very good. But number three, once you understand the point that I was talking about in terms of realize that not everybody likes you. You need to go online with that understanding. What are your goals? What are your objectives? They're waiting dozens of comments of people who don't necessarily like you. Guess what else? Wait comments people like you. So what does a smart person do? All of the people that like you. But if you're actually smart enough, depending if you want to launch your business, social media for business, then professional manager accounts for you. You don't necessarily have to like Facebook or use account managers to do that for you. So you actually get somebody who can wake up every day and do that for you. Delete unnecessary comments. The 10 comments that make sense and so on. Right now, all the big accounts that I actually see globally, many of them they're actually not being run by the people whose names are printed as accounts. Okay. Professionalized is. Yeah, if you actually meet enough, they don't probably mean the house to do that for you. Alternatively, employ somebody to do that for you. Get professionals. And let me tell you one thing, many people should not actually don't get people on social media. The biggest problem is majority of the times many people are going on social media and the next thing they're making some very emotional posts. Sometimes stay away from the keywords. Get your admin, get your team to do those things for you. You realize that it allows you to post a little bigger things. Because as long as you're still waking up every day and says, now I need to post, now I need to dance.
Thank you so much for that. So how do you take constructive criticism as we close? Because I know we're behind time.
It's actually healthy. Normally, Vincent people say is when people ask the question about what they actually expect is praise.
Yeah.
It's good to get different perspective. And one thing that I can tell you for a fact, I don't tolerate abuse in the name of constructive criticism. If you don't know how to say it, don't say it. If you can't phrase it, post ChatGPT, say, can I make this smaller? But the biggest problem that reflects is intention. You've posted that message, that comment. How is it going to make the other person feel? Are you giving them a better person? Are you giving them a damaged person? Let's think about the consequences first and see what are the contributions, what are we eating in the lives of other people. All right, I wouldn't going to be in that position where with one, like some of costs, but have destroyed lives in process. And right now, I think it's one of the biggest problems in our society. The way people, they are going to go for likes, shares at all costs, even if it's like for small size. And by the way, you need to be very careful. Many people actually lost their lives was in social media. Some have been put into depression. Some have been getting to that point where they contemplate whether or not it's time to leave. Was when Beltazan went viral, I had one of the ladies actually killed herself. Why? Because all of a sudden you're now in internet step. So everyone is forwarding any of the Beltazan videos in WhatsApp. literally they know they're probably doing someone's suicide. So they're doing it for entertainment. But this thing's going to permanent, going to be viral, and guess what? News is going to reach somebody. There's something that was understanding being a netful. That's not making viral, and we're destroying people. So right now, let's be responsible. If you're a father, if you're a parent, imagine if it's your daughter on those videos. Imagine if it's your son in those videos. So we need to be empathetic as a society and so on.
TikTok, time is no longer on our side, but what would you like to say as your parting words?
Protect yourself. That's the biggest message. Let's practice digital hygiene. Not everybody needs to know everything about your life. Now, as much as people are saying that I'm involved, but then you realize involving can also open you up to abuse. And always realize people abuse you and some of the things that you have provided them. It's included your enemies. You know what to post, when to post, and why to post.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming through.
Thanks for the invite.
All right. And hey, investors, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Podcast. We're always here to give you exciting content, educative. Of course, with me, your girl, the Dynamite, forever. Now, I've got to leave your screens. I'm going to see you soon, of course. So from me, the Dynamite with a capital letter D and the beautiful crew behind the scenes. It's goodbye for now.